Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, the Education Coordinator for Marlene's Market and Deli. Tonight's special guest that I am always honored to work with, we have tonight Dr. Glen Depke. He's a traditional naturopath all the way in California and educator for Dr. Mercola. And he's speaking on a topic that's near and dear to his heart: brain, cognition, and overall health for men. Thank you so much, Dr. Depke, for joining us.
No, excellent. It's always good to be here. And I do need I need the rights to pull up the slides too.
That's right. There we go.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, no, this is it's something that I talk about all the time. And obviously men's health is something I'm interested in because I'm also a man, right? But then it's really the things that I'm talking about in regard to men's health and really what goes on from a hormone perspective, along with brain and cognitive health and fundamentals. This is like a blueprint for really everybody to move into like some level of optimal health for themselves, regardless of where we're at. What's most important, like health is not a static place that we desire to reach and then we just stay there. Yeah, health is the continuum, and it's really most important is to what direction is your arrow pointing, right? Regardless of where you're at right now, as long as you're going in the right direction and making good choices, you're eventually going to on a regular basis, on a daily basis, be increasing your ability to reach the best optimal health you can every day. So we're going to get into this today, talking about specifically, as was mentioned by Elizabeth, brain, cognition, and overall health for men. And we're going to look at this. We're going to look at this shortly, but before I get into that, I want to bring up a couple things that a lot of people just don't really know about Dr. Mercola, and I always like to bring this up because I think it's always great to give back. And what a lot of people don't know about Dr. Mercola is about 25% of their net proceeds goes right back to advocacy. So it's really about our products are not just sold to really help you with your health and to really take control of your health and find your most optimal level of health and wellness for yourself, but it also supports our mission and advocacy. So things like non-GMO support, the right to no genetically engineered labeling, anti-fluoridation, elimination of mercury, and many different charities and organizations that are advocated on on Mercola.com. So I always like to bring that up so you recognize, what you're doing beside for, really taking control of your health. And today we're going to talk about supporting your brain and cognitive health, and as well as overall men's health on top of that. Now, the one thing that I like to bring up, with this is how we're looking at it overall. It's not just supplements. We want to look at it from number one, a lifestyle support perspective. Yeah, because it's not like supplements are just what the word is. It's a supplement to what you're doing in your general lifestyle, right? We also want to talk about the hormone brain connection, something that most people aren't talking about. You're going to hear about it today, though. We're also going to talk about the gut brain connection, the importance of mitochondria, and then also just overall brain and cognitive support. Now, when we're looking at this, the first thing I want to bring up is really supporting your fundamentals of health, really getting back to basics, because so many people, because you think about this, yourself, you might be living a very busy life, maybe a stressful life, maybe time gets away from you. And some of the simple things that you used to do, maybe when you were younger, are now slipping a bit. So I want to just provide this reminder of these are the simple fundamentals of health that are essential to really put you on track to reaching your optimal state of health. So going through these one at a time here is first is deep belly breathing. The recognition is that most people breathe every day to survive. Most people are taking these very short, shallow breaths, and really we're using maybe 20% of our lung capacity. And why that's a challenge is that every time you take a breath of air, you expose approximately 1/4 of your blood to the oxygen in that breath. And then that 1 quart of blood, it only takes about 4 to 5 seconds for the quart of blood to disperse throughout the body to really oxygenate the cells in the body. And the problem though is that if you're limiting your breathing by taking short, shallow breaths, what you're really doing is you're limiting oxygen flow to your actual cells. So rather than a short, shallow breath, try to get into a habit at least once an hour and through your waking day. Take about 3 to 5 really good deep belly breaths in through your nose. Hold that breath once you feel like you've got it all, breathing all the way down into the stomach. Hold that breath for about 4 seconds and then exhale through your mouth, and try to exhale a little bit longer than you even inhale. So like if you inhale for a count of 7, hold that breath for a count of 4, and then exhale for about a count of 8. Yeah, and what that'll do, that'll actually help you utilize a much higher percentage of your lung capacity, getting more oxygen into the blood, thus more oxygen to your cells, which is a fantastic advantage. And a little side note, not only are you helping with getting oxygen to your cells by deep belly breathing, you actually have the ability to have a positive impact on your autonomic nervous system, because when you're stressed out, that is a sympathetic state. When you're relaxed, it's a parasympathetic state. And when you deep breathe, it actually helps to trigger a parasympathetic state. So it's another advantage. And then the other one is staying hydrated. A glass of water you can't see here quite that well, but this is another big problem for most people. I can't tell you how many times I'm working with clients and they just share that they drink a glass or two of water per day. I'm typically recommending drinking the highest quality of water that you can on a regular basis, and approximately 1 quart of water for every 50 pounds of body weight per day. And even deeper than that, always paying attention to the color of your urine. If your urine is coming out completely clear, then there's a possibility that you're overhydrated and you're wasting your electrolyte minerals. And if it's too yellow or even an orangey color, then you're most likely dehydrated. What you want is you want a very slight tinge of yellow to your urine to recognize a likelihood of proper hydration. And then after that, with nutrition, it's unfortunate that a lot of people in today's culture, we follow what's the acronym of the SAD diet, which is the acronym stands for the Standard American Diet, which is high in processed foods, processed carbohydrates, sugars, alcohol, and caffeine, of which really don't have any place if in your diet when you're looking for what we're really talking about, taking control of your health and actually reaching an optimal state of health. So when you're very simplistic, when you talk about nutrition, whenever you're eating, make it a focus to get a small amount of protein, a generous amount of above ground vegetables, and a moderate amount of fat. So you're getting protein, fat, and above ground vegetables, which means that they're lower glycemic or low net carb vegetables, and getting that balance of those macronutrients throughout your day on a regular basis. And then with proper sleep, this is another big area that so many people are challenged in today's culture. Sometimes it ties into the amount of stress you're dealing with. Sometimes it's just too busy of a schedule, too many things you're trying to accomplish at night, and really, let me help you define proper sleep, though, which is usually most important. This would mean that you sleep about 8 hours a night. Some people can get away with a little bit less. Some people need a little bit more. It's best to know where you're at. You would, and sleep is tied into circadian rhythms and cycles that are controlled by the sun rising and setting, as well as the magnetic shift of the earth as it rotates on its axis. And the optimal time to wake up is right around the time the sun comes up. And the optimal time to go to bed is about 8 hours before that. Yeah. And really, if you're in a really good sleep cycle, you'll fall when your bed hits the pillow, you'll fall asleep relatively quickly, maybe 5 to 10 minutes after you put your head down. You'll stay into a relatively deep sleep with cycles through the night. and you'll wake up in the morning, as I mentioned, around the time the sun comes up, and you'll be vibrant and ready to rock and roll. It's almost like we should all wake up like little kids at Christmas time. And if you're not achieving that, just recognize that there could be some things that you can do to help with that. But really, sleep is a very important aspect, because when you sleep, not only do you feel recharged and rested when you get a good night's sleep, but that's the primary time of maintenance repair of your body on a regular basis. So sleep is so important. And then movement is important. Now, movement is not just exercise. Now, there's a part of movement that is exercise, because just understand your body is designed to move. And if you're not moving your body with some consistency through the day, what suffers is not your muscular system as much. What suffers is your autonomic nervous system, because movement actually helps to support stimulating a healthy autonomic nervous system, which is really, your brain and your nervous system is just a master regulator of everything. So while of course you do, potentially get advantages to your muscles or cardiovascular activity, I want you to really look at movement as simple as the aspect of your body's designed to move, to stimulate and support your overall autonomic nervous system, which, remember, is your master regulator of everything. And then after that, healthy sun exposure. Yeah, and because if you think about it, we've been told for what, 35, 40 years, stay out of the sun, cover up, don't go out in the sun, when the simple reality is the sun is an essential nutrient to our health. But the key is what we call healthy sun exposure. It's very unhealthy to go out in the sun and get a sunburn, because that's very damaging to the skin. Yeah, but when we get out in the sun, and we have a healthy sun exposure, which is determined also by your own skin tone. If you have a very, very pale skin tone, you might only want to be out in the sun for about 10 minutes. If you have a moderate skin tone, you might want 20, 30 minutes. And if you have a darker skin tone, you might want 40 to 50 minutes or more in the sun. Yeah, but the sun, and most people have heard that you get out in the sun and your body converts sunlight into vitamin D, which is true, but it also plays an important role in your hormonal system. Really actually plays an important role in metabolism. I mean, it's countless benefits of getting healthy sun, which means you get sun on a daily basis, yet never too much to where you would have sun damage on your skin. And then also a healthy stress response. Now, it used to be that in the past, I would put down here, instead of healthy stress response, I would say eliminate stress or reduce stress. But let's just be real about it. We've all got stress. I have stress. Elizabeth has stress. You watching this, you have stress as well. Can we realistically eliminate our stress? And no, we can't. Yet what we can do is we can perceive our stress in a healthy way, and we can actually learn healthy tools to release stress that has been suppressed in the body. And a healthy way of looking at stress is from the perspective of, just recognizing that stress is, when we have stress, and think about this from an emotional response. So when you feel a negative emotion, what you perceive as a negative emotion, it just tells you that there's something about that current situation that you're not happy with, that you don't resonate with. Well, fantastic. Use the negative emotion as a guide to understand that there's something about this situation currently that you're not happy with or you don't resonate with, and ask yourself some simple questions. Number one, can I do anything about this situation? If the answer is no, well, then remove yourself from the situation as quickly as possible. And then the answer is yes, there is something I could do about this situation. Well, then form a quick action plan to help with empowering that situation so you can escape that. Use the stress and the emotion as a positive impact for either removing yourself or creating an empowering impact on that situation yourself. And in regard to when you feel like you're just holding on to that stress, this is a great thing that Dr. Mercola has been talking about EFT, which is an acronym for Emotional Freedom Technique. He's been talking about that for, heck, a better part of 20 years. And it's a great tool to utilize to help with reducing any of the stress that you seem like you can't just let go of. And on top of that, as I mentioned earlier, when you're deep belly breathing, Physiologically, you cannot be stressed out and deep belly breathe at the same time. So that's another great tool is when you feel all stressed out and anxious, do some deep belly breathing to help shift what's going on from a nervous system perspective. So please be sure to get back to your basics. Now let's talk about different levels of supplement support. Now, first off, with the gut-brain connection. Now, when we're talking about brain and cognition, and even what's going on from a hormone perspective, I want you to recognize how your gut and your brain are tied into each other. It's very well documented. About 90% of your brain output goes right down the vagus nerve, through the spinal column, into the nervous system tissue in the gut, and it comes right back up. So whatever's going on in your brain is going on in your gut. Whatever's going on in your gut is going on in your brain. So sometimes when you're thinking about, oh, I want to help my brain, well, to do that, you really want to help your gut. And one great way you can do this is with Dr. Mercola's complete probiotic. And really, this is something that, with the clients that I work with in my office, I basically have everybody taking a probiotic. To me, the only person who doesn't need a probiotic is somebody who makes raw fermented food on a regular basis and eats it throughout their day. And you know what? I don't have the time to do that in my life, and I don't know a lot of people who do. So if you don't, you could be like I am in the morning, and you wake up and you start every morning with a 70 billion CFU of the complete probiotic. And what's fantastic about Dr. Mercola's complete probiotic is not only does it have 10 different strains of beneficial bacteria, and there's 70 billion CFU, which is the amount of the beneficial bacteria. There's one particular ingredient in this called a DDS1. So D as in dog, D as in dog, S as in Sam, DDS1, number one, Lactobacillus acidophilus. And what's so important with that is the one strain of beneficial bacteria that has been shown to be resistant to stomach acid, bile, and enzyme activity. So it has the best opportunity of surviving the entirety of the gastrointestinal tract to really provide you the benefit that you're looking for with your beneficial bacteria, your microbiome, and also understand that when you nourish your microbiome, it's not just about digestion and absorption of your nutrients. It's about supporting your immune function, supporting cellular health, supporting a normal allergy response, supporting your mood, and also supporting what's going on with your brain. So a very simple, easy thing that you could do once every day when you wake up. Well, in mitochondria health, this is a huge deal because it's so interesting to me. Like most people, when you talk about mitochondria health, most people recite the exact same phrase. And Elizabeth, you already know what I'm going to say. It's the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Well, that is absolutely true, but really, do you know what that means though? That's the big question. Because the mitochondria, yes, it is the powerhouse of the cell. What I want you to understand is the depth at which and the areas at which this is so important to in your body. You see, number one, your mitochondria is responsible for approximately 97% of your body's energy production. And literally, who doesn't want more energy nowadays? And I'm sure you do yourself. On top of that, your mitochondria is extremely important for all the high mitochondria needs in your body. So that includes your muscular system, it includes your kidneys, it includes your liver, it includes your heart, and one of the things that we're talking about more in depth today, it includes your brain. And actually every neuron in your brain actually utilizes 2 million mitochondria. So mitochondria is very, very important for your brain and cognitive health as well. Now, one of the best ways you can actually support your mitochondria, and a way that I actually do this every day, is taking ubiquinol. And ubiquinol is a fantastic support to your mitochondria health. And our ubiquinol, we use something that's referred to as Canica ubiquinol, which is an active ingredient. It's the only genuine patented ubiquinol that is actually produced by this company called Canica. And they simply make the most stable ubiquinol in the world we live in. And why this is so important is again, because we want to support the mitochondria, and we want to support all the areas that are driven by the powerhouse of the cell. Now, the other thing is very, very important about Dr. Mercola's ubiquinol is that it's actually packaged in a hard capsule rather than soft gel. And why that's so important is because soft gels have microscopic cracks in them, and ubiquinol is a very unstable molecule. So when you actually expose ubiquinol to oxygen, it converts into a different form called ubiquinone. Well, we really wanted to maintain its state as ubiquinol, so the hard shell capsule rather than the soft gel is very important, because this hard shell capsule, which I will always refer to as a lead cap, does not have those microscopic cracks. That's a very important factor for your ubiquinol, to make sure that it's in a lead cap and not in a soft gel. And then with overall brain and cognitive support, something that's very important is, making sure that you're supporting the cerebral blood flow. Now fermented beets, this is a USDA organic fermented beets. Now, beets themselves help to increase nitric oxide. Well, when you increase nitric oxide, that helps to dilate your blood vessels. So the three advantages of increased nitric oxide is, number one, you're helping to support circulation through the entirety of your body, which is a benefit for everybody. Number two, you're helping to support that cognitive circulation. So that's the blood going to the brain, which then allows you to bring more oxygen and more nutrients to the brain. And the third benefit of using fermented beets is, because of its ability to help dilate blood vessels, it's great to take before you do whatever your fitness routine is as well. And the fermented beets is something that I take on a regular daily basis to really always support the optimizing of blood flow and that cerebral blood flow. And of course, I enjoy the fitness benefits as well. And another very important thing is taking your omega-3s. Now, the omega-3s that I always choose is a krill oil. Now, why that's so important is, well, number one, with your omega-3 fatty acids, we get so many omega-6s in our regular diet that most people have a significant imbalance of omega-6s to omega-3s. Now, so not only do these support your heart health, your immune system, your joint comfort, your overall mood, you really want to maintain that balance, because too many omega-6s can lead to inflammatory conditions. And if you're wondering what inflammatory conditions cause, just go on your favorite browser and just search, what does chronic inflammation cause? And you'll basically find every chronic disease state known to man, right? And here's what is important too, in regard to the using of the krill instead of fish oils, is because krill is it's naturally bound with phospholipids. So what the phospholipids do, this helps make the krill both fat and water soluble. So that actually helps to deliver the fatty acids directly to your cells. So by using krill with the phospholipids, it makes it more bioavailable to help you improve your omega-3 levels and your omega-3 to 6 ratio. And on top of that, krill naturally contains something referred to as astaxanthin, which is a very potent antioxidant, one of the rare antioxidants that actually crosses your blood-brain barrier. So you get advantages to your brain with this as well, not just from the omega-3, but also from the astaxanthin as well. And then a fave of mine, that this is something that I wake up, except for when I'm traveling, just to be very candid. But when I'm at home, I wake up every morning and I take a good sized glass, like about a 18 to 20 ounce glass. I fill it with water, and I drop one tablet of H2, which is molecular hydrogen, in there. I wait, I put it in room temperature water, so it only takes about 60 seconds to dissolve in that water. And as soon as I've seen that tablet dissolve, I drink that full glass of water. Now, usually what I do is I'll also take my morning supplements with that, which I mentioned earlier, waking up in the morning and taking your complete probiotic. And I take all my other morning supplements with that glass of water that has the H2 in it. Now, from this thing, why this is so important is molecular hydrogen is support, as we would consider, an antioxidant. And what's so fantastic about molecular hydrogen with the H2 is that it literally, hydrogen is the smallest element known to man, so it gets everywhere. It doesn't just get into your cells, it gets into your mitochondria, it gets into the nucleus of the cell, and it very easily crosses your blood-brain barrier and can actually have antioxidant support in your brain as well. And and really what's fantastic with the technology that Dr. Mercola uses with the H2 is it's a technology that, as compared to other technologies that only deliver about 1 to 2 parts per million of a molecular hydrogen, Dr. Mercola's technology that he uses delivers about 8 to 9 parts per million of a molecular hydrogen. Yeah, so this is very, very important. And sometimes I'll be doing trainings and people will ask me, well, who needs H2? And my answer is, well, if you're a human being and you live on this planet, you probably need H2. Because the simple fact is that we're under so much stress, not only mentally, emotionally, but also physically and chemically as well. So most of us are dealing with high amounts of free radical activity and oxidative stress just because of the lives we live in and the atmosphere we live in and the air we breathe and all these different things. So we need the antioxidants to really help create a balance from all that free radical activity and oxidative stress. So the H2 goes a long way. And why I picked this, you'll notice that both of the antioxidants I've talked about, the astaxanthin that's in naturally in the krill and the H2, these are both antioxidants that cross the blood-brain barrier. A lot of antioxidants do not cross the blood-brain barrier. So these are advantages for you with brain and cognition as well. And then a hormone-brain connection. This is something that most people don't talk about. Now we're talking, specifically also about men's health today, right? So when we think about this, and if you're just looking at that picture, you have the brain in the middle. So we're talking about the endocrine system. The one gland that's missing in here, which is tied directly into, tied into men's health, is also the prostate. You can see on the right there at, like, if you're looking at a clock, it would be like 3 o'clock. You can see testicles. On the upper left at like what would be like 10:30 is the adrenal glands. But all of these play an important role in your hormonal system. What I want you to understand too is that when you're stressed out, and most people don't know this, the very first reactionary state to stress in your body is in your brain. And your brain creates, most notably, creates either epinephrine or norepinephrine. And that actually then that which are just chemical messengers, basically. And those go to the hypothalamus. And then the hypothalamus decodes that, sends it to the anterior pituitary, and then eventually decodes that message and sends another message to the adrenal gland. So while most people think of stress and they think, oh, well, my adrenals, I'm producing cortisol, the simple fact is the first reactionary state to stress is with your brain. So, and if you think about this, and this could be you, I mean, there's so many people who are just like walking stress balls all day, and your brain is just stuck in this sympathetic response because so much is going on in your day. You've got so many deadlines, you've got traffic get through, you've got, bills in the mail, you've got a disagreement with somebody at work or at home, like the list goes on and on. But I want you to recognize how your hormonal system and your brain is interconnected. And not only is your brain your first response to stress, when your hormonal system is working well, it also directly impacts your overall neural connectivity, your ability to memorize and learn, your ability to regulate your mood and your sleep. So they have this symbiotic relationship where they work together. So you really want to focus on both to really actually reach the goals you're looking for from not only from a brain and cognition standpoint, from supporting that system, but also for supporting men's health as far as testicles and the production of testosterone, and also keeping, and for men, keeping your prostate happy and healthy throughout your life as well. And I'll get into a few things that will help you in this particular area. Now, the first one is with your B vitamins. Now, B vitamins is another thing that probably most people need. And simple fact is because B vitamins they don't last very long in your food. They tend to deplete very, very quickly, and they are typically destroyed by cooking. Yeah, so even if you have a garden and you pick your vegetables out of the garden, but then you cook it, even if there were a lot of B vitamins in your the food that you're eating because it's sourced like immediately, but when you're cooking, you're destroying the B vitamins, right? And on top of that, to absorb and assimilate your Bs, you need a really rock star digestive system. So now I just want you to ask yourself the question, do you have a rock star digestive system? And the answer is no. Even if you're eating your food that has B vitamins in it and you didn't cook it so you didn't destroy the B vitamins, you still really need a rock star digestive system. Make sure you're getting your Bs. Well, most people don't check those three boxes, right? They're not getting fresh food with a lot of Bs in it. They're not eating it raw, and they don't have the rock star digestion. So that's why the liquid B complex is very important to get your B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, and B12. And the one I want to talk about specifically here that plays a big role in what we're talking about with your hormonal system is vitamin B5, because vitamin B5 is one of the one vitamin B vitamin that almost nobody has really heard about. Pantothenic acid on the list there, and some B complexes literally don't even contain B5, and if they do, they just don't really have a significant amount. But why B5 is so important is when you get adequate amounts of B5, your body converts B5 into a coenzyme called acetyl-CoA, and then your body uses acetyl-CoA and cholesterol as the two most prominent raw materials to produce hormones in your body. So that plays an important role. So getting your liquid B complex on a daily basis is a great idea for literally most people. Now, another big key, not just with your hormones and your brain, but just overall health, is magnesium. The magnesium advance, which is the magnesium L-threonate. Now, why this is so important, number one, is about 80 to 85% of our culture is simply deficient in magnesium. So magnesium plays a role in 300 different enzymes, metabolic enzymes in the body, and those 300 different enzymes, depending on whose research you want to listen to, might actually have an effect on 1,000 to 1,200 or more processes in your body in every moment. So if you have a magnesium deficiency and then that metabolic enzyme activity is not adequate, well, now you're affecting so much on your body on a regular daily basis. Now, why I love the magnesium L-threonate specifically is because this is the one form of magnesium that has been shown to have higher cellular penetration characteristics. So this actually is, out of all the different forms of magnesium, this has the best opportunity to get in through the cell membrane to get into your cells, which is where you need the magnesium to be. And this is the only magnesium that has been shown to be able to cross your blood-brain barrier. So remember earlier when I was talking about, like, if you're the walking stress ball and you've got like all this anxiety and stress like that going on in your brain all the time. Well, remember that stress is a sympathetic response and magnesium supports a parasympathetic response. I've seen this be like life-changing for some people because they're finally getting that parasympathetic, which is a calming response, in being supported with their brain because of supplying the brain with the magnesium, because it's the magnesium L-threonate that crosses the blood-brain barrier. And also because of its high absorption characteristics, it doesn't it significantly reduces any kind of GI discomfort that you may have felt from magnesiums in the past. Sometimes people take magnesium and they'll have like almost like a laxative effect, having loose stool or diarrhea, because of the high absorption characteristics. I've never seen that actually happen with somebody taking the magnesium advance, that magnesium L-threonate, and typically does not drive any other type of GI discomfort as well. Great thing to do. I take 3 of these every night about an hour before I go to bed, making sure that I get my daily dose of magnesium. And then last but not least, really saw palmetto. And this is really specifically, I'm talking about this from a prostate perspective. Now, I will share that there's also women sometimes use saw palmetto to help really with the supporting a better balance of testosterone in their body. Yeah, but the reason why I'm talking about this, because we're talking about brain cognition and overall men's health, is talking about prostate health. You see, between ages of 51 and 60, about 50%, that's half of all men, will experience some signs of less than optimal prostate health. And that risk increases as time goes by, to the point once you're at 80 years old, 90% of men need some kind of support for the prostate. And see, these the saw palmetto with these unique little berries, they've been shown to really support your body's natural ability to inhibit a 5-alpha reductase, which is the enzymes that are responsible for converting testosterone to DHT. Now, why that's so important is because excessive production of DHT can have a negative impact on your prostate health. Yeah, so if you think about this statistically, if you're 50 and you're about to turn 51, there's a 50% likelihood that there's already a less than optimal state of health of your prostate. And as your years are progressing, that percentage goes up. So it's a great thing for men to really focus on, to really maintain the support of the most optimal level of prostate health that you possibly can. Yeah. So with that said, I want to say thank you to everybody who is either watching this live or watching the replay of this. And if anybody that's watching live, if you have any questions, we'll check the chat. Or if you want to ask a question live, you can hover over the video. You can click on that little microphone that right now has a little red circle around it with a line going through it. And you can click that to ask a question live. And if not, and I can't catch you live, maybe I'll see you at Marlene somewhere in the near future when I'm doing. Usually, on occasion, I come up to that part of the upper Northwest and do some live trainings as well. But thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to either watch this live education or watching the replay of this. And I hope you've learned some things that you can start to utilize today to take control of your health.
Thank you so much, Dr. Depke. Amazing
You're welcome.
presentation as always.
You're
I
welcome. And it's always my pleasure.
and um, taking charge of your health is definitely a no-brainer with your guidance. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's always my pleasure, Elizabeth. And I'm very grateful to, Marlene's as well, for, just offering this ability for me to just help with education.
Definitely. I had a question. So the H2
Hmm.
product, so that goes into the it helps the mitochondria health. And if you were to take that with like phosphatidylcholine or phosphatidylserine or NAC, would that actually multiply the effect of those supplements?
Well, I mean, the first two you mentioned, which are well-known nootropics, which are fantastic for brain and cognitive support. The NAC, which is great for the liver, but also is a precursor to glutathione, which is not only fantastic for the liver, also important for the blood-brain barrier, also important for natural detoxification processes, and so much. But yes, all of those together are a great. They have a great synergy together.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I definitely want to get onto that H2 and do that NAC for building down some natural inflammation blockers that I got going on. And
Yeah, there you go.
would you recommend best phosphatidylserine or phosphatidylcholine if I had to pick?
Um, I don't think you can go wrong with either.
Sweet.
Yes, if you have to, yeah, either one is better than neither. So that would be the way to go.
Okay, perfect. And and then also the probiotics, um, you might have mentioned it, but are those soil-based organisms?
It is not, no, it's not a soil-based organism. That would be like the spore restore.
Okay,
The
that's what I
spore
was.
restore is soil-based organisms, and then also the complete afterbiotic has a combination of the beneficial bacteria and some soil-based organisms as well.
Oh, well, there you go. All different ways to seed your gut garden.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you gotta take care of the soil and the seed, right?
Exactly.
You're awesome, Elizabeth.
So are you, Dr. Depke. Always a pleasure and look forward to the next time we have with you. And definitely
Fantastic.
stay tuned, folks. There's also a plethora of different topics from Dr. Depke on our YouTube channel. So go and check it out.
Awesome. Well, everybody have a fantastic rest of your day and enjoy the rest of 2024. Until next time.
Until next time, happy days.
Bye bye. Take care.